From bruises to bullets. That's how the Attorney General describes domestic disputes that all too often escalate. William Barr announcing he's formed a task force to keep guns out of the hands of abusers. While there is a federal law preventing convicts and those with protective orders against them from getting guns, Barr says all too often how the state interprets that law leads to loopholes. Loopholes that could be deadly. The DOJ says abusers who can get a gun are 5 times more likely to kill their partners. So will this keep victims safe? And does it go far enough?
Joining me to talk about that, Kirsten Stewart. She's Director of Public Policy for Futures Without Violence. Hi. Wendy Murphy is a former federal prosecutor. So, Wendy, I start with you because how are states misinterpreting this federal law, which seems to make this a prosecutor's problem?
Yeah, I'm not sure they're misinterpreting so much as worried about a loophole, a couple of different loopholes. Let me just explain one. Obviously, you want the federal government's vast resources to get involved in preventing gun violence and domestic violence. Often those things go together. But the feds sometimes can't get involved because of, for example, what's called the boyfriend loophole. So under most state laws, any kind of intimate or domestic relationship, whether it's your boyfriend and you don't live with him, or it's your husband or someone you've had a child with, they're all covered under state law. But under federal law, they can't get involved if the person who has beaten or abused or used a gun against you as a victim is your boyfriend, even if it's been for 5 or 10 years, but has never lived with you or has never had a child with you. Or has never been married to you. That's a big loophole because about 50% of victims of domestic violence in this country fit within that boyfriend category. And that's why the states have laws that cover those types of relationships under their definition of domestic for the purpose of enforcing domestic violence laws. So we want the feds to be able to participate the way the states do in aggressively prosecuting, especially cases with guns involved, but in many, many cases they can't. So we're looking to change that law at the federal level, in a sense, bring the federal laws to match with the state laws.
And Kirsten, there's actually another layer to this, and it would be the task force believes that if they clarified to expand this law to include boyfriends and girlfriends, as Wendy so appropriately put why that's important, that this would actually prevent mass shootings by doing that. Can you break down how they're making that argument?
Sure. So we strongly support the actions the Department of Justice is taking. Anything that keeps guns away from abusers makes the victim safer, but as you point out, makes the rest of us safer as well. What we know is about half of mass shootings are perpetrated by someone who has a history of domestic violence. Sometimes they have been an abuser. Sometimes the mass shooting itself is part of an act of domestic violence. Today is so timely in that we're also recognizing the truly horrific anniversary of the Pulse shooting. The shooter there had a history of severe domestic violence. If we had been able to stop him, one hopes we might have been able to have stopped this tragedy. We'll never know, but we know that if we take issues of domestic violence and guns seriously, we can prevent violence.
That's the argument there. And you know, Wendy, when we look at the greater picture, does it go far enough? I mean, what if somebody says, I wasn't a boyfriend. I barely even dated her. I'm not in that classification.
Yeah, such a good question, because there are lots of men who are abusive to women who don't even fit the definition of boyfriend. You're absolutely right. And yet they are motivated by gender. They are motivated to hurt the woman because she is female. So we not only have a problem in terms of the definition of domestic for domestic violence law purposes, we also have a massive problem in the fact that we don't treat violence against women in this country, even lethal violence, as a hate crime consistently. Many states do cover gender under their state hate crimes law, and it is a hate crime under federal law, but we need consistency there too. At least 4 women die from male violence every day in this country. And one of the reasons for that is that women are not yet equal under the Constitution. It would be nice if we fixed that and passed the ERA finally. but it's also the fact that we're not categorizing this as a targeted bias crime against women because they are female. We really need to do that. I mean, women suffer more hate crimes because they are female than any other category of people in this country. And it's high time we treated them as equal under the law.
And separate from what Wendy's pointing out, why now? Shouldn't we have raised a red flag so much earlier, Kirsten, that these loopholes allowed abusers to have guns?
Absolutely. And activists and lawyers have been raising this question for a long time. Importantly, though, right now, Congress has a chance to act. The House of Representatives passed the Violence Against Women Act in early April of this year. It included language to close some of these loopholes. We're now just waiting on the Senate to act. The Senate could take up that bill, H.R. 1585, right now. We could address this issue today if Congress wanted to act. And so we really do insist that this is an important time, and the responsibility is now in Congress's hands, and ultimately we hope the president's hands to sign that bill.
And a lot of this is just awareness. I think a lot of people had no idea that these loopholes were out there. Kirsten Stewart, Wendy Murphy, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And if you or someone you know is in danger because of domestic violence, call 911. There's also an anonymous confidential helpline that's out there. It's 24/7 National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's 1-800-799-SAFE. You can chat with an advocate via their website as well. We're back after this.